Good morning and welcome. I am Alero Edu and this is Sunrise.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo Makinde. I hope you've had your cup of cocoa or cocoa.
Whichever one you decide.
And whichever part of the country you find yourself, you know. Cocoa is more appreciable in certain parts. Cocoa is more appreciable in certain parts. But I think we should switch places, you know. Okay, there's cocoa in Lagos, especially maybe somewhere in Entitlement.
Why? Cocoa is everywhere, Joe. Is Ogi now?
No. There's Ogi. There's cocoa. Yeah.
What is cocoa?
Oh, do you want us to ask the bench?
The bench. Oh, God. It's been a very busy week, as usual. Nigeria is just a wonderful country.
Yeah, one of the most important things that happened in the week for me is the inauguration of the new governor of Anambra State.
Oh, please.
No. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. I know you want to segue into that other part, but let me tell you why.
Yeah.
The first statement the governor made was, I applied for this job.
Yes.
I was shortlisted by my recruitment agency. Well, he didn't use that recruitment agency. You interviewed me
and
gave me the job. For me, that's
yes.
It nails it.
It's touching.
It nails it.
And it speaks of humility and, should I say, a desire to actually deliver and do right by the people who gave you the job.
Let me say what you said in the way he said it. A desire and intention to do the job for which he applied.
Yes.
Not everybody applies for that job. Sometimes the job is foisted on them.
True.
So his objective is clear as to why did I ask for this job? So he asked for the job. It's not that he was out of job, but he felt that he could do better on this job. And it's what I have always said, you know, every time I find myself, you know, talking about these things. Election is not just an election for political office. Yeah. It's a recruitment process. It's an employment process. So the question I'm asking is, those of you giving jobs to people, do the people you want to give the job to, do they know the job that you want to give them?
And did they apply for the job?
Do they apply for the job? Do you think they qualify? Do they have all of the requisites? Okay, they may have what the Constitution asks them to have.
Yes.
But do they have the experience? Because experience is not legislated. Experience is not just qualifications.
Barely.
But experience may not be legislated. Even if you show us all the papers that you can do the job, what's the assurance we have that you can do the job?
But all this now puts everybody on the, okay, sit down, look.
And I wish you are right.
So after all this fantastic speech and all that, let's see what he's going to do. Some with apprehension, some with genuine concern. Okay, so is he going to make a difference? We hope he makes a difference.
Is he going to make a difference? There's a saying, an African proverb, Yoruba specifically, that if we make you the chief chicken stealer, you must be able to steal chicken.
Well,
you know, so if you give you the title, the title is Awodi title. The role of that title is you must know how to steal chicken. If you don't now know, if you don't know how to steal chicken, then you do not qualify
for that job.
Two other things on this particular matter. So in a private organization, if you get employment and there is a performance review process, right? Number one, do we have that performance review process in our country?
No.
For those that we give these kinds of political office jobs.
Yeah.
Secondly, in an organization, if this person is not performing to par, you sack him.
Sure.
or you remove him from the job, or you reassign
Redeploy.
or whatever it is. Do we have that for every office in the land? So the immunity clause there says we don't. We can't question certain activities, for which reason, as soon as somebody left office, he paid a visit to another place.
That is why they can be going around slapping people as they like.
Okay, that's...
You know, the Oka slap, the awkward slap, the handover slap, send-off slap, state dysfunction slap, I am involved slap, volcanic slap, pep, valedictory, memorable, Ogbunigwe, executive, power show, public violence slap. Then he who slaps last slaps best.
No, she.
She who slaps last. This is all from Twitter, please. This is not my doing. This is Twitter. All this to describe
just one slap. But there is a word that is missing. Especially because that tweet came from a lawyer. Justiciable slap.
Yes, he did ask, is it justiciable?
Yes. I mean, all of that qualification. And then one of the things is legendary slap. He now defined legendary slap. Please go on Twitter. It's GT Ogoye. He now defined legendary slap.
Oh, okay. My word, all those words to describe one slap.
Another thing for me that happened in the week was a conversation we had with Mr. Erikefe, CEO of FCCPC, Consumer Protection Council, about the loan sharks.
Okay. Oh.
One of the first questions we asked him was, do you also receive all those threat messages? He said, thousands. So on an
no, the one that you receive a call, your brother or Ayo has taken a loan from us, and if you don't come and clear it, we're going to do this and that.
Yes. And of course, many people can relate to that.
And what baffles me is that the number of times I have received those calls, I think they go to almost everybody now, it is because somebody's phone was stolen, and they just went through their contact list and called everybody on the contact list. It's not that they put you down as the guarantor or anything.
Well, there's something you may not even, that may shock you. Mr. Erikefe told us, and I wish we had, prepared to put that up. Yeah. He said, look, they went and met a system such that when they get your number, your phone number, it brings up all your contacts. They don't need to steal your phone. It brings up all your contacts, all the network of your contacts everywhere. It brings it up. You know, naturally, if you're on social media and you have an email address or phone number connected to your social media account, it has your contact in the back end. So it brings it all up, and they dispense all of the information anyhow to anyone who cares. But you see,
you know what I do now? Once I pick up my phone and I hear your friend or cousin or brother, I just cut the line off.
I didn't even bother to.
Because I am not anybody's guarantor. So there's no reason for you to call me to let me know that Ayobamdele took a loan. How does that concern me?
It doesn't even get to that. Thank God for Truecaller. Once you call, it's just spam calls. I just didn't even bother to pick, so I didn't even bother. But you see, the interesting thing...
I'm not put Truecaller on my phone.
The interesting thing that he said, look, another thing that shocked me. So we asked him, okay, there are those that are registered with the CBN. Say yes. How about the ones that are not? How do we know the ones that are not registered?
We don't.
He said, we don't, you don't know.
We don't.
So maybe the CBN needs to do something about that so that people know who to get loans, such short loans for, and who to not get them from.
But Ayo, you know this country is massive. So the central bank has licensed, let's say, 1,000 of them.
Okay.
There'll be another 10,000 who are operating surreptitiously in little corners of Nigeria.
But if people know, why do people prefer to listen to or confirm the veracity of the news from Channels Television? So you hear it anywhere, you're not sure whether it is or it is not true. So you wait for channels to run the story.
The item.
Once you see the story on channels, then you say, yes, it is true.
It is true.
It is the reason some people say, other news channels have been carrying this thing. Why is it not on channels? It's because channels wants to be sure. So we do not misinform you. And there are some news items as a journalist in my practice. And this must have happened to you as well. I'll see a news story on major media, and I'll say, no, that's not true. That cannot be true. And within 24 hours, they retract the story. So this is part of the things so let people know who are these what do you call it now? Licensed loan sharks and all those things.
Contradiction in terms. A licensed loan shark. He's licensed to rip you off.
By the way, my producer is just asking me now that if we want all things confirmed, do we have to wait for confirmation of the slap? Ayola, that's on you.
This slap again. Oh, yes, in the course of the week as well. Lekki Conservation Company also informed Nigerians or Lagosians that the toll gates would reopen on April the 1st. Of course, there have been all kinds of screams saying, are we not going through enough hardship?
Screams? I thought it was in partnership with the Blaq residents.
I don't know, I beg. You're not buying petrol at some ridiculous amount. You're buying diesel at off-the-chart amount. Electricity has more than doubled in price. As for food, don't even go there, even though they tell us inflation is only at 16%. It is not 16%. It's more like 100%.
It's not only. It's not just only. That only is... Oh, you told me about the U.S. inflation last week.
Yes, but you know that even if it is 100 billion you write on a check, it will still be only.
You remind me of my dad.
It's only.
You know, still talking about Lagos. Someone sent me some messages yesterday. I got you listened to.
Yes.
To them, talking about some task force people. He wanted to pick a call. Isn't that what we tell people to do if you have to make a call? Park off of the road. And this is just, for God's sake, I don't know if there is an off-limit parking space on CMD Road. Just opposite the, what's it called, the Secretariat side of the road. And this guy went there, said some people walked up to him, showed him some ID card, got into his car, and said that he wasn't supposed to have parked there, so they will need to take him to a cautioning center.
What is a cautioning center?
Ask me. Okay, no. If you ask me...
Now, who I go ask?
So...
Among me, I hear.
Guess what? He said his experience was that they took him to a place opposite Elephant House at Alausa, not too far from Government House, for God's sake, the government establishment, the seat of government, for God's sake. And that so many of those things are happening there, and so many cars
organized.
They're organized. They have
POSs. So
this is definitely something for the task force or legitimate task force in Lagos to go chase after, because some people are, quote unquote, spoiling the name of government, all in the name of wanting to make a quick buck or two. And he said they charged him 150,000.
Yes, and then
eventually it all came down to 15,000 naira. Now, collect 15,000 naira from 10 people. Collect from 20 people. And that's not just 15,000 naira from everybody.
Yes, he said some were paying 40, some were paying 30, just ripping people off.
So we're asking, and this is just Lagos, who knows where else?
It's happening.
We're asking the authorities to please look into this, because things are bad enough. This is how, the whole SARS saga started, and God knows where it has brought us now. We all know where it has brought us now. We don't want things to get any worse for people, do we?
Don't. We don't. And people are suffering so much already. I mean, are we waiting to be ground into the ground And government keeps telling us to tighten our belts.
It's the reason I will go back.
Do we still have a waist?
It's the reason I will go back to what we started with. Go get your permanent voter card to vote. Look,
on voting day, I'm going to be the first on the queue.
The thing is, many people, thank you for that, many people believe, and we heard it from Mr. Okoye the last time,
yes,
you know, before the AMAC elections, so the elections in Abuja. He said most elites in city centers, urban Nigeria, don't go out to vote.
Yeah.
But they are here complaining about everything that is happening on election day.
That's going to be different in 2023.
Hopefully. So,
well, the way that people feel now, they have seen, many have seen the, should I say, what kind of face is that? Okay.
This face you are seeing is the face of, you know what someone will do by what he has done before. So, if the elite is going to change their approach in 2023, let's begin to see it now.
Let's go and get our PVCs.
Let's see that action. Look, the processes are going to change when people who are respected in society, who are respected everywhere, go out to vote. Look, ultimately, it is going to affect you.
By the same token, those who are coming out to be voted for are also responsible and respectable people.
Look, once the quality of people who come out to vote begin to see the quality of people they want to vote for, they will begin to mobilize themselves to get into the space.
Okay.
You heard what Mr. Elumelu said a few days ago. Who would have expected such quote-unquote tough talk? You know, he's all about entrepreneurship, and then those tough talk? Come on. So it's about time. We don't just speak. We do.
Or talk, na do. I talk, I do. Right. So, our menu this morning. We're going to begin by looking at fostering parties' internal democracy. That's a biggie as far as I'm concerned, considering what is happening in both big parties at the moment. All we're hearing about them now is rancor. Rancor everywhere.
And
at the PDP, at the APC, same difference, as they say in Nigeria.
With 40 million naira form. Bridging infrastructure gaps. That's the second topic on our menu this morning. And what does that mean? You'll find out in the course of time.
And then from there, we'll shift to education and focus on Nigeria Learning Passport. Passport? What's that all about?
We'll find out in due time. And then we have the artist of the week. A he, or she, or a shim?
A he.
A he. Okay. Not a he.
Not a he.
Just saying. Just.
It is a he.
A he. A human he.
A male.
Mailman.
Mailman, yes, mailman. It's a mailman. Not M-A-I-L, by the way, M-A-I-E.
Stick with us. We will be right back with the first topic for the day.
Thanks for being with us. You will recall that during the week, the President, Muhammadu Buhari, ordered the reinstatement of Governor Malabuni as the interim national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, after a meeting with Mr. Buni in London. Mr. Buni had been booted out of office on the recommendation of the APC governors following the party's raging internal crisis. Well, it looks like the big parties have a little bit of this and that going on. In fact, we are even hearing about court cases and all that. But, you know, let's look at how we can engender party internal democracy. We're talking democracy, the dividends of democracy. But how can we achieve that when even the parties are not democratic? Those who are putting forward candidates for us to vote for are not democratic themselves. We have in the studio with us this morning a legal practitioner, Chief Godi Uwazurike. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And we have joining us via Zoom the founder of Nigeria First Initiative, Ezekiel Nia Etuk, who joins us via Zoom from Uyo. Morning, Ezekiel.
Good morning. Pleasure to be on your station. Actually, I'm joining you from Owerri, where I've come to celebrate my mother-in-law's 90th birthday celebration. Lady Catherine Ononiwu.
Obviously, you're going to get, excuse me, unfortunately, you can't get a refund of the dowry, but this will add more, more value to you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Well, are you as disturbed? Let me begin. Well, you're a politician. Perhaps a good question, a good way to start with you would be, for you, what are the things? We don't want to assume that we understand why there is poor internal democracy among parties. What, in your opinion, causes such internal rifts within political parties?
Okay, I'll really appeal. This question is extremely fundamental. You just give me about 3 to 5 minutes to lay a certain foundation that will help us to understand what is going on. Number one is that we don't know what political parties are. Political parties are not a recruitment club for politicians. Political parties are a school where you should groom people that will come to occupy the management position called government. Government is a management position, and the recruitment agency for that management position of our country or any constitution is the political parties. Now, when you come into the political parties are either A or B. A is generality of people who come together, get an agenda for the party, which they call the manifesto, recruit members, and these members contribute both ideas and finances to set that agency up, so that any person recruited by that agency, they pay their allegiance to the political party and they implement the manifesto of the political party. Then there is B, where the people refuse to play their role of contributing both ideas and monies to run the party. They outsource it to people who fund the parties. Either they are institutions like, let me be very straight, like a man like Obong Tinubu, you can see that he funds the systems and organizes the structure. Or in some states, the governor, who kind of takes control of the system, funds it. Within that context, whoever pays the piper dictates the tune. We can't have me fund the structures of the system, and when a decision time comes, you, the structures that I funded, want to take the decision instead of me, who funds the system, taking the decision. So at this point in time, we have political parties that are agencies for state capture by those who can afford, either by way of being government or as having put up the necessary infrastructure. These are the two, and we must reconcile them. Then we can understand why we are having all the rancors and all the ruckus in the political parties. Okay. I hope that I have laid a foundation.
That's only a start, because, you know, it's not always been like that, you know, but we'll come to other details. Well, Chief Wazirike, you heard him. Do you agree with some of the things that he said, or do you have any?
I think that political parties in other climes will always be those who have a certain view of life, how things should be done. In other words, we reason alike. Let me give you an example with the United States. The Republicans, we all know they're pro-business and pro-tax for everybody. The Democrats would rather say, no, we tax the rich. We provide welfare for the poor people. And that is the basic distinction. The Republicans will tell you we'll take our factories elsewhere and make money, as much money as possible. The Democrats will tell you that means you're depriving the poorer workers opportunities to work. In Britain, you still see somebody, I belong to the far right, I belong to this and that. This is view of life. But not so in Nigeria. In Nigeria here, you say somebody, oh, I donated $1 million. Therefore, whatever I say will happen. And it so happens. In other words, you only do it follow in Nigeria, which is why somebody will say, the structure is mine, the money is mine, so whatever I tell you, or in our street language, you say, I own the party, or the owners of the party have decided. And this is why they brought this dangerous word, consensus. You and I, okay, let's share. You take chairman, I'll take secretary. That is not right.
And that is not democracy.
That's not democracy at all. Because we're talking of government of the people, for the people, by the people. In other words, if these people get into government...
Is that to say, Chief, that the parties are faulty at birth or at the point of creation? I referenced something, and you would know, and so would Mr. Nyaitok. In the First Republic, some of these issues, well, they had their problems, but there was no such ownership of the party, so to speak. In the Second Republic, you know, same case. I mean...
But there was.
No.
NCP...
no, the reason I'm saying that because...
NCNC was believed to belong to Zik, whereas...
in those republics, if memory serves me right, common people had their monies in those parties. They had registers, cards
yes.
of payment,
party cards.
of
and
making
everyone
contributions.
paid their dues.
Yes, into the parties. But I don't know if we had such things now.
No. These days, you don't pay to belong to a party. Apart from that initial registration at the ward level, where you pay a token sum and then donate a big sum to the ward officers. People take from the party, what is this party doing for me? I mean, this party, I'm not getting anything, so I move to another party. But let's give you an example of NCNC. NCNC actually was founded by Herbert Macaulay, who was the first president. Zik was secretary. And when Herbert Macaulay died, Zik became the president. And in those days, I still remember my father having a bunch of, this is how much I paid, this is how much I paid. And if Zik is coming, everybody will close shop. In the Southwest, many of them still display their party card up till now and say, I was said. In those days, it was based on personality of our personality of Zik, personality of Ahmadu Bello. Not Abubakar, Ahmadu Bello. Now, in the Second Republic, it was very close to party belonging to people because MPN was more of a group of people who came together with jostling. But at a point, people like Omar Diko took charge, who would tell Abiola, this party is not for sale. In other words, the owners of the party meant people like Omar Diko. In today's world, the two parties, yes, they started fairly like People's Party, the two major parties. But right now, it is not so. The owners of the party have taken over. In a party like APC, you hear expression like, whatever Buhari says happens. I will never go against the president. That is not democracy. In PDP, you hear of the owners of the party who have decided. They meet in what I would call a conclave and decide. And that is not democracy. Which is why the first time this Electoral Act came up, they removed the word consensus completely. And Mr. President insisted. And what is consensus? Three of us can decide that all the people who are coming to Channel Studio, all of you must bow and genuflect. You hear the officers have decided, whereas it is not so. A political party should allow the members to decide and talk, beginning from the ward level. And that is what democracy is all about.
Ezekiel, you are a politician. What is it that makes it so difficult to run a party the way a party is supposed to be run in Nigeria and not literally just hand over the parties to money bags and then complain that the money bags are the ones running the party?
I'll tell you this very from what I'll call experiential knowledge. I've not only been a party man at the highest level in PDP, I've been the national chairman and co-founder of a political party, the Young Democratic Party. Now, the experience that I have, or I had, is what I will use one phrase to define: entitlement mentality. In Nigeria, we think in terms of what should come to us and not citizenship responsibility. That is citizenship responsibility against entitlement mentality. For as long as we citizens don't think that we owe it a duty to this country, to our club, to our church, to our society, to do what we ought to do, but keep expecting. I, as the national chairman of a party, I had to resign after 1 year because I could no longer, one, do what others do.
Oh dear.
Well, I'm sure we'll get that back. Because I was going to follow up on that. When you say, when you have raised issues of entitlement mentality, well, thankfully you're here, Chief Wazirike. When you raise issues around entitlement mentality, what options are there for the people, really?
Well, it is a setup that is leading the people into a crisis. Let me just tell, if I am opposed to this governor, I know that what he's doing is wrong. I now stand on my ground. At a point, I will notice that in my party, I'm not getting any more money. After a professional politician, like most people, do not have any other source of income except that politics.
Professional politician.
So if that is the only source of income I have, I will now look for a way to go and join those who are eating. You know, there was this man, God rest his soul, who said we invited Blaq to come and chop. It was horrible. In Osun State, we had the same expression again in the last election. A man was said, oh, we're inviting you to come and chop. That entitlement mentality is what is destroying this country.
How did that come to be? I ask that advisedly. We know how some of these political parties started. Of course, PDP is a coagulation of political movements that evolved into what it became, and a number of other people joined. APC, of course, has gone through all kinds of metamorphoses before it became what it's become now. And we have like maybe another 60 or 70 other parties that we don't hear of except on
Election
on
day.
ballot papers. You know, I don't even hear of most of them on election, during pre-election. I only see them on ballot papers, and that is it. So we know how some of these political parties came to be. The question then, Chief, would be, are we doomed to this mentality that you're talking about? Because it would seem like that is the basis for the intra-party rifts we're having.
No, we are not doomed. I am an optimistic person by nature. Yes, we are stumbling, and we have been stumbling for the past 22 years. Where are we stumbling? Mr. President says, I want this man as a party chairman, and they said, Mr. President has spoken. That is wrong. Rather, Mr. President can nominate. When he nominates, let there be another nomination. We are not doomed. One day, we shall overcome. You know, when Mr. President today was coming in 2015, many people expected a lot of changes. One of them was no more corruption, no more injustice, there will be security, improved economy. Now, Mr. President is winding down. It is now left for us to see how far and what lessons do we learn. The first lesson is never deify a sitting president. Nobody must be a deity in politics. We have to speak up. If what Mr. President is doing is wrong, let us tell him so, without any consequences. You know, these days, if you criticize, especially in the North, if you criticize any powerful man, whether on Facebook or anything, the police come and arrest you, charge you to court on a Friday. By the time they consider a bail, it's Saturday and Monday. And by the time you finish, you have spent 4 days. It's not widespread in the South. So people are afraid to speak, and I call on Mr. President to infuse that courage on people to speak up. If people don't speak up, how will you know you're doing well? Let us have that change in entitlement mentality, that change in Mr. President has spoken, that change in governor has spoken. Now, let's just give you an example of RFI. He was on air the other day talking about having met Mr. President. Mr. President said Buni is sacked, and he's so sacked. Bello is taking over, and he's so. And who will succeed him? Mr. President has told me, I won't say it, but he will. You know, that kind of attitude. Everybody now start running. Oh, yes, what has Mr. President said? That's not democracy. Let us stand up.
Okay.
Do we have Ezekiel back?
Well, I don't know if we have, well, I'm sure the directors will let us know when we
Because
have
I
him
want
back.
to now ask...
Oh, he is back. He's back
okay,
now.
yes. You were saying...
Yes, I was saying this concept of entitlement mentality, until we take responsibility, we will always allow the space for these, state capture entrepreneurs to seize the instrument of recruitment of officers to manage the affairs of state. Whether we are going to make progress as a nation or we are not, is going to depend largely on the quality of the managers. And the quality of the managers is going to depend on the quality of recruitment of the agency. And the quality of recruitment is going to depend on the intention of the agency. If the people generally contribute to running parties, they will decide who they want to have as the management team of their country. And when it gets to the polls, the people will now have proper managers of our estate, and we will no longer be the poverty capital of the world. But today, as it is, the recruitment agency is the party, and the owners of the party is not the people, but these state capture entrepreneurs. And to that extent, the people that are sent there, either National Assembly, State House of Assembly, the governors, or the president, are those that will do the biddings of the investors, these state capture entrepreneurs. The moment we come to terms of this by Nigerians, the moment we come to terms of this by Nigerians, we will then decide to take our future in our hands, get registered to vote, knowing that our vote must count. And I want to thank Mr. President. Let me say it on record. I had said that if Mr. President signed that electoral act, I was going to give him a cow. I want to say that I keep to that promise. And if he tells me where to deliver that cow, I will deliver the fattest female cow in Nigeria to him, because he's done Nigeria amazing good.
Well, Mr. Yaito,
yes.
I can suggest a place. Just take it to Dara. You know, he has a farm. I mean, maybe that will solve the problem. But, you know, there's some of the issues that you raised. They are quite germane. One of the things that has always agitated my mind is the party structure, the administration of the political parties. I still contend, and you can speak to it because you have been a party chairman, that back in time, even as close as the botched Third Republic, the power, the influence, the role of the national chairman of a political party was not in question to ensure that elected officials of governments, elected officials on the platform of the parties, they did the bidding of the party. They followed the manifesto of the party. And that the national chairman was the leader of the party. But what we have today, it will seem like it's an elected officer, like a president or a governor, who has the responsibility of being the party leader, trying to, amalgamate, so to speak, the functions of governance, leading the nation, and providing service to the people with the function of governing a political party. Do you think, what do you make of that? Is that something that should be, or because there are those who wonder, isn't that also part of the reason we're having these intra-party rancors?
I'll tell you this for free. By the time that a national political party who are in power bring a state governor whom alone cannot handle the whole affairs of state to become the national chairman of a party, whom alone as one man cannot really move around, mobilize his people, ensure that you enforce, if you are a governor, you were elected, because the law says that votes are given to the party, which means that we want the manifesto of the party to be implemented. So you as a national chairman, you want to go around all the governors and say, how are you implementing the manifestos of the party? You cannot even do it on your own. Then you have a governor occupying the position of a of national chairman of a party. It's something my brain just cannot put it together. And these are the people who are coming back to ask for the vote of Nigerians. I hope Nigerians can get wise enough to sit down, have a conversation, decide what they want, and go for it. You see, where you started from is where I would like to anchor at this point before we move on. And that is, we sit down and do all this analysis on television. How many of us on television here are registered? How many of us go to the handles, of all of us on the social media? How many of us are mobilizing the young people within our enclave to say, this is what you should do. This is my PVC. Go and get registered. Go and pay that 1,000. Those of you that can afford, everybody cannot afford. This is where I made a very valid, suggestion to the national chairman of INEC. It was an open letter. I said, mandate every party to have party registration at 3 levels. 3 levels. This is very important, please. I'll run through it in 1 second. Level 1, active financial members. Active because they have PVC. Level 2, active non-financial members. Level 3, others. What is the difference? In others, it could be primary school, secondary school, people who you want to bring and tutor in the ways of the party, ideologies and everything. So they are not a problem. Anybody, juniors, minors. Level 2, you are registered, but you are not willing to take the responsibility of leadership, which is what you pay for. Level 1 is you are registered, you have your PVC, and you are a financial member. During primaries, all financial members are those that vote. During primaries, all this issue of consensus, the indirect, no. Once you are a financial member, you are the one to vote at all elective positions.
Before you get to that one, Mr. Nyetok, you need to first of all check if there is a party register. We'll come to that. But perhaps something just by way of information to the people watching us right now, based on your challenge, is go to, on your phone now, whatever device you're using, cvr.inecnigeria.org. Start the process. If you don't have a voter card, just start the process. We need more people to be involved in this thing.
Okay. Let me just stay with Ezekiel for a little bit, because I'm still not clear what his answer was to my question. Ezekiel, please, are you therefore saying that the money bags have the parties in a stranglehold and will not allow the common person to contribute their little bit, which they used to do before, so that they would actually belong to the party? And they're doing this so that they can adequately control the parties. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The money bags are investors. The money bag are entrepreneurs.
Okay.
The money bags are the state capture specialists. You have a choice. Go into your party, fund the party as well, and then you have a say. You can't sit back at home, and then the party has to be run. The staff have to be paid. Elections have to be conducted. The people have to pay for it. Now the money bag says, since these people don't want to come, I want to come. And then they pay for it, and then you now want to have a say. There's always been the old saying that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Why do you want somebody to pay the piper and you come and dictate the tune? As what? Are you God? No.
Ezekiel, is that what happened in your party? Are there any parties that are actually inclusive?
I'll tell you this. That is why when I left YDP that became deregistered, I refused to go back to APC. Any party I went to, I'll be received at the highest level You know that in this country, any party, APC, PDP, there's none, and I will be close to a spokesperson officially or unofficially for the party. And they all approached me, I'll say this with every sense of responsibility and humility. But I went to ADC. The reason is that that's the only party I've seen who are training their members, who are conducting almost on a monthly basis training programs, research programs, who insist that there must be payment of dues by members who is not big today, because people are now being compelled to say, you cannot pay dues. Look at APC does not pay, PDP does not pay. And they say that is why they are where they are today. As an ADC member, you must pay your dues. So members are starting to decide. ADC is going to have direct primaries where members who are financially active are going to decide who is going. That's why you see everybody coming in. Why do you think a man like Mohalu will come into ADC? Why do you think a man like Chuku Kamoye? These are young people who are movers in the system. Why are they coming to ADC? Why are all? And there's something in the line that a man like Kachiku would be coming into ADC. These are cerebral people. These are the sort of CEOs that Nigeria will want to see them in the realm of powers in this country. Why do you think they are all coming to ADC? Why do you think NLC is now looking at adopting ADC as the mega party? It's because people are sick and tired of this money-back politics, and ADC has come in as the party that says, let's do the right thing. Let's have ideology. Let's have people paying for it. Let's have the people deciding. We don't want all these honors of the party. Nobody owns ADC. The man in my ward has as much power as I have. And that is what Nigerians should do. Go and get registered. Join a political party. And then decide their affairs. These two big parties, the time has come when we can no longer give them that luxury of they're only ones in the sphere. They are not. And let the media help us. Well, as you talk of APC, PDP, talk of ADC.
Okay. Well, Chief Wazirike, one of the things that we have seen in this republic is a top-down politics as opposed to bottom-up. There are those who contend that, look, shouldn't political parties operate from the localities up? That's what the law says. That's why a ward chairman of a political party can remove the national chairman of a political party as a member of the ward, and then it'll take effect on him, all across board. But in terms of real practice, we seem to have a top to bottom as opposed to a bottom to up approach in political parties. Is that a significant problem for you?
No, it is a real problem. Because you have people who call helicopter politicians.
Wait a minute. I never heard that before.
Helicopter politicians. When there is politics, when there is something to be shared, or when election is coming, they come into the constituency as if in a helicopter, get what they want and go away. You know, when IBB was president, he appointed a man called Professor Humphrey Nwosu. Humphrey Nwosu introduced what he called option A4. And he started with, you go to your own ward and stand there. The one I didn't like was open balloting. In other words, rather, a candidate will stand, everybody will know where. No. Secret balloting. But his own idea was good. I remember one prominent politician in Ondo, very prominent in Lagos in the media, but he lost in option A4. The people say, we don't know him. In today's politics, the commonest expression is Abuja has decided. I've been in the hotel for 3 weeks waiting to see Mr. President, waiting to see the party chairman. I already have the ticket. It's a waste of time. They say that with impunity, knowing that what they have said is what's going to happen. Party chairman, party secretary, when money is talking, the poor man knows what to do. Because the man with money has policemen. And if we talk, they bundle you out for causing confusion, for breach of peace. You spend the night in prison while the election is going on.
You don't even have a voice.
No, you don't have a voice. And anybody following you will know that following you is a waste of time. So they abandon you and follow the man who has the money. As we say in my part of this country, the goat follows the man who has the leaves. It is when you have something the goat will eat that the goat will follow you. So in today's world...
And that's perhaps the origin
Politics.
of entitlement mentality.
Entitlement mentality. In other words, what are we going to get? I've been with this party, I've been following this man, I have nothing. So they change. You see a virulent critic one day bowing and changing and shifting. Bola
money has exchanged hands.
Bola Tinubu is running in Lagos. You find somebody who has been criticizing him, the next day he's queuing up behind him. And then you notice nothing changes in Lagos.
But Chief, all that we're discussing today is how we're going to be able to change this, make it inclusive.
The first step was this, what the third movement, the one part of Tommy and others.
Yes, yes.
Unfortunately, they started very late. And now they're talking of adopting a power. If you really want to change what is going on in this country, start 4 years in advance. Go for fundamental changes starting from the grassroots. As it is, most of them are people on top, not at the bottom. There are some states, no matter what you say, there is really no voting except violent voting. I give you an example, Kanu. You don't talk of real people voting. You see 10-year-olds, all they do is they line up because that man is the strong man. Or you go to Borno, there's really no voting because Boko Haram is there shooting. So in this country, we need that fundamental change. First is the professor who is in charge of INEC. I know him as a man who is straightforward, not easily swayed, but he can do more. This is his chance to stand up.
But, you know, it goes back to what we said. I mean, that's Abuja. What role can just one man in Abuja play if the structures at the local levels, the ward levels, are not strong enough to bear some of the weight that he's bearing with him?
I will tell you. First thing is he will let those in the states, because every state has a resident electoral commissioner. And the electoral commissioner does not work alone. The funding under our constitution is frontline charge for INEC. But I know that this government is not doing that. So let him stand up and insist. When he insists, he will now fund his various states so that they won't be looking towards the governor for funding. And when they start this campaign at the grassroots, led by the resident electoral commissioner, that every vote must count. And that's what people are waiting for. Believe you me, people at the grassroots are not happy with those at the top. And when a big man is kidnapped, man rejoices. He does not feel any sympathy because he thinks that big man is holding our money. So this entitlement mentality I'm talking of, quite often they say it's our money. But my advice to the poor man who is voting is that when the big man comes with the money to bribe you, collect it, but vote according to your conscience. How many people is he going to lock up? How many people is he going to beat?
Okay, Mr. Nyaito, we're talking about, you know, politics at the local level. And there are those who contend, so, well, you are in the practice, so you'll be able to tell us some of the challenges on the field. Top to down, top-bottom approach in politics as opposed to bottom-up approach in politics. What's the challenge that we are having because it will seem like it's only when the top speaks that everybody does anything. When they speak at the lower levels, at the ward levels, nothing seems to happen. And I'm not sure that's the way the law designed it.
Okay, let me address, like I said, today's program, I wanted to lay a lot of fundamentals so that we know what is going on. I'll tell you one other very, very, very important fundamental. The man in power does a marathon, but the opposition will have to do a dash in Nigeria. In every system, you have to study it and understand it. Nigeria runs a system where we depend on government. So you don't expect the opposition to start too early. They plan and plan and plan. We've been planning. I want to tell Nigerians, we have been planning over 4 years. But you see, that one of coming together, let us see them. No. We are working very well, and things are working out very well. But remember this phrase: the man in power in Nigeria will do a marathon, but the opposition has to do a dash. Just that surprise element towards the finish line, and boom, you obtain. We are doing well. I can tell you this for a fact. And the opposition,
Well, I hope we get you back soon. You were talking about doing a dash, and then you began slow down. Well, it's your network, not you. So there we are. Now, you have some messages on...
Well, yes, Festus says the problem is PDP and ADC are not inclusive. Therefore, they cannot
Did you say
recruit...
ADC or APC?
AP.
Okay.
APC, all progressives. Therefore, they cannot recruit talented individuals into elected offices from local government to national government because there's no internal democracy and transparency in these big parties and their leadership selection.
Well, Mr. Nyeretoke is back. Please go ahead.
Yes, so because of that, I want to encourage all the young people, Nigerians, go and register, because there is a major surprise in the offing. Let me tell you, a man like Kwankwaso, he's not a boy. I mean, he's politically, I mean, he knows what he's doing. For a man like that to leave PDP at this point, there's a reason. I can tell you 10 other people that if you hear the name, your ears will tingle. Nigerians, secondly, at the grassroots, I'm contesting for the governorship of Akwa Ibom State, and I can tell you that I have never seen that I will go for, I've done 23 out of 31 local government. There's not one place that they ask me to land. Ask an Akwa Ibom person what they mean by that. You can't go for a political campaign without them asking you to land. You sit down for 4 hours and talk to the people and enter your car and drive out. It has never happened. It's happening for the first time because people have seen through these people. We've enlightened them on what government is, on what governance is, so the grassroots is being enlightened by us. And we're talking to them. You see, 6 months is a long time in politics. It can be very short. If you are strategic, 1 week is a long time in politics. Okay. And that's what we are doing now, enlightening the people. And the people are receiving because they are tired of the tricks of these people. Okay. So what I want to do is just encourage more people to go and get registered, because there will be a credit loss.
That's the agenda this morning. By the way, yes, we'll be sending you an invoice for all of that campaign you're already doing for your party.
Okay. Festus Akimboyewa again says, Chief, eligible Nigerians must register and vote for real change in 2023. Many Nigerians, and indeed people across the world, have died fighting for the right to vote and be part of democracy. If we want to have a voice in 2023 and beyond, we must register and vote. Simple. Yes. You agree, don't you?
Yes, I agree. And it's not an unlimited time. I think up to July or so. That's when that portal will still be open. Okay. So if they must register, let them start today. You know. But there is also one other thing I think happened yesterday, and as far as I'm concerned, it's an assault on democracy. The National Assembly passed a bill, Electoral Act, signed into law by Mr. President. Yes, he made an offer. He said, please amend and remove certain sections so that those who are working in government appointees can go and contest. The National Assembly said no when it came back. And what happened yesterday, we heard that a judge in Federal High Court, Mahia, has already acceded to that and has already deleted some portions, doing something unheard of in law, directing the Attorney General to amend. It's never done. 2, who were the parties to that case? All the political parties in Nigeria are supposed to be respondents. And when you file a case in Federal High Court, it's not like you file in 1 week today, the next 1 week, and within 3 weeks, the judgment is given. It's never done. You need 30 days for them to respond. Nobody responded, and nobody was anybody served? We don't know. I think all Nigerians should look into what is going on.
Well, most certainly that's something very, very concerning. For those who are wondering what that is about, go to channelstv.com. It's one of the headline stories right now where the Attorney General says they're going to go by what the court says because of Section 287 of the Constitution. Well, all of that you'll find on our website this morning.
cvr.inec.org. That's where you start from. You need to register and you need to vote because we are seeing signs that our votes are going to count in 2023 based on the amendments that were made, which the president has actually signed into law. Your vote will count. My vote will count. And guess what? I'm going to be number one on the queue on election day.
Well,
this time.
That's if you're not here.
I have not voted since option A4. But this time, I'm going to vote. Thank you very much.
Sounding like you're not going to come to work that day.
Not likely. Or I go and vote first, then I come to work and join you halfway through. Thank you very much, Chief Godwin Wazirike, a legal practitioner. And we had from Owerri, the founder, Nigeria First Initiative, Ezekiel Nia Etuk, governorship candidate.
And he will pay.
Thank you both for coming to share your insights with us this morning. Sunrise will be right back in a moment with another interesting conversation. Do join us.
Thank you.
If Nigeria is going to be good, as that song says, well, infrastructure is one of those things that will help. Infrastructure development is one of the commitments of this government, especially at the federal level. And so much is being expended into building roads, railways, housing, power.
Trains where they stop for road, say petrol finish.
Please, let's just focus on this conversation, shall we? Thank you very much. Although successive
Did you hear anything?
That's why I thought it was a radio set, but it was shortwave. So, successive governments have continued to battle with the onerous task of trying to bridge this wide infrastructure chasm that exists in every sector of the country. Remember, the president went recently out of the country and he was talking about something in the region of 10 trillion naira infrastructure gap over X number of years. I don't have the exact figures now. I'm sure our guests will be able to speak to them. So how do we approach this? By the way, do you know that there is such an institution as the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission?
ICRC.
Well, now you know. But we'll talk to some of these issues with our guests in the studio. Norua Edokpolo is a show commentator. Thanks for coming here.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
As well as Mohammed Mukhtar, who is a development economist, investment banker, market and financial analyst. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you.
And virtually we have Peter Esele, who is former president of Trade Union Congress. He will join us in due course. Oh, well. Okay, well, good morning, Mr. Esele.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, good. We'll see your face shortly. But let me begin with Mr. Mukhtar. You're a development economist, and we've been talking about infrastructure development for long. Well, there is soft infrastructure and there is, do you also call that one hard infrastructure?
Well, depends.
Depends, okay. So which one is, well, we definitely are talking about the, the physical infrastructure, the ones that you can see here. But then there are those who would say it'll depend on soft infrastructure as well, how it'll be run and how it'll subsist over time. Take us through this conversation.
I think the problem we have as a country is that do we really access what type of infrastructure do we really need? First of all, the government always tell us what they think we need, and they go ahead and do what they feel is right for the people, not looking at what the people really need in terms of this infrastructure. Like you talk about, the physical infrastructure is there, like what you're having now, the rail, and what are you talking about, the soft infrastructure that you're just talking about? How do we manage this rail when we have the Chinese all around? We have we seems not to be in control of this infrastructure. We seem to leave that in the hands of those that are bringing the infrastructure.
But isn't that justified, so to speak? Because over the years, I'm sorry, let me ask the question this way. Over the years, I mean, we had this infrastructure. The third mainland bridge, the first mainland bridge, the second mainland bridge, they all got bad right under our noses. And it was us, okay? So how come we couldn't maintain those infrastructure and keep them from getting as bad as they become?
Because when we go into an agreement, we don't even go to build and maintain. That was the problem, and that's still the problem now. You have to go, if you're going for a project, you need to put your KYs. What do you expect? Build and maintain. At what age? And what are the terms and conditions? We go to this project or this contract with the Chinese government. Nobody knows what is there.
But it wasn't with the Chinese government.
No, I'm just talking generally. If you look at it
but
now.
let's historically, I mean, I like to make those references. There is a way we did things.
That was not the right way. That's why we have to do it well now. But in every way, if you look at the American
did we talk to the Chinese for the Carter Bridge and Eco Bridge, for instance?
But are they really in good shape?
That's the problem. That's the point
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that we went for that agreement. We only build. We say we build. We leave the maintenance side out of it. Look at our infrastructure. Even if you look at the National Stadium in Abuja, until recently that Dangote decided to come and take up the maintenance. But look at the Calabar, stadium in Uyo. You saw that stadium is still the best in the country because it's built and maintained for a certain level of time, and that money has been paid. So you have to come up with the strategy when you know the type of country that you are with. Now look at the infrastructural bill that we're talking about. We're talking decaying infrastructure, and government is thinking all the time to borrow money. But have we looked at infrastructure as an equity? Do we see our infrastructure as an equity to bring in the private sector that, look, this is what I'm dropping on the table, my infrastructure. You build, you maintain for the next 25 years. You collect all your money that you have to collect from there. I don't want to know how much you're going to pay. Remember that once the infrastructure is built, the people that are working there will be paying tax. It's still a win-win situation for the government. But what we have in governance is everybody wants to benefit from every project that is from the government. Not the people.
How do you mean? How do you mean? Everybody wants to benefit from the project?
Not the people that wants to benefit. The people that are awarding the contract want to benefit from the project. Okay. So once you want to do that, you don't want to do the private partnership. You want to do the government contractor.
Okay.
That works for them.
Okay. Now, before we come to you, Norua, I need to take you back a bit. When you started, you said government gives the people what it thinks the people need.
Yeah.
Okay. What other way could this be done so that the people are getting what they actually need, not what government thinks they need?
Then government should be able to look at the strength of your people. What are the strengths? If I want to do rail, what the point that these rail lines are going to pass, are there commercial variable places that we have to deal with? Do they have agricultural product that they need to take from point A to point B? Those are why you build infrastructure. You don't just come up to build infrastructure from Katsina to Chad.
Maradi.
I mean, you just say because you want people from Katsina that were related to people from Chad to begin to meet themselves. What are the economic implications of that? What intends? Because government is all about profit. Let's be serious. If you want to build, why Nigeria is where we are now, we've not seen government as an enterprise, whereby we gain profit, then we develop those profits. There's place for social investment. You can't take it away in the area of school, healthcare. That is where government should be. But when it comes to key that have to do with the economy, government should always look at what value are they bringing to the table and what monetary value will come to government in terms of putting it back into the social infrastructure. But what we see here in Nigeria, we don't look at social infrastructure as profit that will come from government. Rather, we look at government profit going into social infrastructure.
Nora, one infrastructure that people hardly talk about, as far as I'm concerned, is water. And with COVID and everything, we spoke about it a lot on this program because the issue of washing your hands came into play. And we said, we asked the question, is there any government that is paying attention to providing water for the people? And we did not come up with an answer. it still was not a priority for many states.
Many years ago, interestingly, we used to live in the same neighborhood as Charlie Boy. You know, so Charlie Boy had Charlie Boy bus stop. We were living somewhere behind there. And I literally watched the public water system dry up. Okay? And I guess maybe that would have been, this was like about 10, 15 years ago now. Bagada phase 2 I can't remember which of them now. Phase 2, yes. I literally watched the public water system dry up. And I doubt if there is anywhere, and I'm waiting to be proven wrong, where you can actually turn on your tap and it's coming from the public water system. Everybody has their own boreholes and what have you, which of course have their own effect on the environment. Yeah. You know, so when I hear that we have a minister for water resources, you know, you wonder, what are they doing? You know, we've left some huge gaps. And that's because, you know, you're supposed to do things in a systematic order from the foundation. You do A, then B, then C, then D. But sometimes in Nigeria, it looks as if the decay is so much that when the people who are supposed to fix it look at how bad it is, they just say, you know what, rather than go to the root, let's trim, you know, the branches, all right? So that at least if I trim the branches for 4 years, everybody thinks it's fine, somebody else takes over. That's what's happening with water, all right? We're just trimming the branches because it's almost unthinkable to go back. I mean, think of any estate that is being built now where you can turn on your tap and it's coming from some mains somewhere. So there's a huge deficit in that area. We may not be able to fix the problem, you know, from source. So we may be thinking of, you know, things like maybe just, you know, a local government can run pipes, have a water system for that locality.
I was going to ask you if we don't over-centralize some of these things.
That's it. That's the way to go, really, because ideally, if you go back to the developed world, that's how it was. But where we are now, I mean, why has telecoms worked? Because we've been able to jumpstart. You know, wireless, you know, has given us the ability to leapfrog. You know what I mean? And so an MTN did not need to run a cable everywhere to connect. So we must take that model and take it into different other
Unfortunately,
spheres,
we can't have wireless roads. And then you know,
we spoke about water. So, for example, for power, you have embedded power. All right? So, for example, that's embedded power.
What is embedded power?
Embedded power means, so, for example, in this locality where channels is, somebody comes here, whether by whatever source, whether solar, whether any source, and he gives power to this community.
Yes.
So he's your NEPA for this community.
That's right.
That's embedded power. Okay. All right? So state governments can decide to do same. You know, and already some states are doing it. Lagos State did it many years ago. I think Edo State is doing something in that regard.
So but that didn't work for long with Enron.
Because they had issues with, you know, federal government and, you know, the law, etc.
Exactly. So I was gonna let me you know, take you up from the angle that Mr. Mukhtar, you know, started from the other time. What the people want versus what the people get from government. It will speak to vision. Because if we don't know where we're going, we're just all going to continue to saunter. You know, I mean, that's what, you know, how it would seem. So how do we determine what the people want? Or is it just a copy and paste model?
You've touched a raw nerve. You know, you talked about hard and soft infrastructure, yes? Hard infrastructure is irrelevant if the soft infrastructure is not in place. And soft infrastructure is about systems, about operations, about people, about shared values, all right? So why do you think, for example, a company takes the pain to say, this is our mission statement, this is our vision statement, these are our core values? What are they doing? They are dealing with the soft things that they need to be in place before the hard things, if you like, can then build on it. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we do not have a sense of belonging. And that's why people just come, do stuff, and take a walk, you know. So until Nigeria answers those very basic, fundamental questions, who are we? Where are we going? How do we want to get there? He mentioned the tracks from Katsina to Maradi, for example. Now, rightly or wrongly, the impression we have is that that's what the president wants. That's what he likes because he has family members on the other side. Now, it's irrelevant whether that is right or wrong, but that's the notion. In other words,
perception.
That's it. In other words, in Nigeria, it's not what is best for us that matters. It's what I, who have power or who's holding power now, is what I want that matters. So you take that mindset and then it cascades all the way down. So as a counselor, am I going to build the road? If it's going to end in my front gate, yes. I don't know if you're getting it. So until we tackle these fundamentals, we keep saying this thing that Nigeria cannot put the cart before the horse or the horse before the cart. It's not going to work. So we must answer those fundamental questions. You know, our pledge, the Nigerian pledge, our national anthem, these two things in themselves is enough shared values if only the leadership would truly imbibe them.
They are shared written values.
That's
Whether
the
they
point.
Are or not, they are values.
We need to translate them.
Let me my apologies.
Go ahead.
Mr. Sele, you have worked in an industry that has to operate with the infrastructure. So maybe you want to use that, you know, the petroleum sector where you have operated for a little bit, and I hope I'm right, to give us an image of what we are dealing with here. Do you think Nigerians understand significantly or meaningfully the term infrastructure?
Well, good morning and thank you for having me. First of all, let's define in simple language the meaning of the word infrastructure. Infrastructure is a system of public works in a country that deals with the resources such as personnel, building, equipment, required activity, underlining the basic framework of system that you use in running a society. So that first, we now understand the meaning of the word infrastructure. Then somebody made reference to soft infrastructure and hard infrastructure. Soft infrastructure is the key to everything. Now, let me take you back to what is soft infrastructure and why I think we are not ready and we are not serious as a country. Soft infrastructure has to do primarily, your brain box is your educational system. And if your educational system is in a state of comatose, what do you expect to produce? Now, let's take our mind back to see our creativity. We have, you can look at the creativity in terms of looking at the National Arts Theatre. You will see creativity. Now, take your mind back to look at what we've had from 1999 to date. And then you find out that most of those public works, you ask yourself, where is the creativity? Now, ASU itself, the university system from 1999 to 2020 has been shut for 1,299 days. That is your soft infrastructure. So your soft infrastructure has been killed for 1,299 days. So what do you expect? That's why when Nigerians are talking sometimes, I always look at Nigerians are reacting to symptoms. Deal with the causes. So if your educational system is working, you have engineers that will maintain. First of all, you have to maintain what you have to even dream of spending trillions of naira to now bring in fresh one and borrow money. So your soft infrastructure is weak. Because it is weak, you now have to spend huge foreign currency to get Chinese or Americans or Europeans to come and help you maintain. That is another aspect of it. Now, you made reference to, you were correct, all my life in oil and gas. The first time, as a 19-year-old, the first time I was on an oil well, I got a shock. The first shock I got was, as my eyes could go, was all water. So I got there via helicopter. Now, somebody is there to ensure that the helicopter will come at the time it's supposed to come. And when I arrived at the heli deck, I was wondering, where are they getting power from? Now, we had power 24 hours. And we don't even know when the changeover is done. So that was a shock to me because all my life I've been used to NEPA will give you 5 hours and the next thing is gone. This is because they have a process and a system. Now, you are there to work. Your job is to deliver. I work for a company. That company, I'm not asking the company, what am I going to eat? No. The company also provided for me. So your personnel is key. So invest in education. Now, from 1999 to date, we've had Obasanjo, we've had Yaradua, we've had Jonathan, now we've had President Buhari. Yet, ASU still goes on strike. We've not been able to resolve the problem affecting our university. That is a key soft infrastructure. Engineers are coming in from there. So if your soft infrastructure is bad, please don't even put attention on whether you build the airport, you build rail. It's only a matter of time. They are going to pack up. We've just seen what has happened. I think I saw a video that went viral where somebody was looking for a drum to now put diesel on a train. So it's only a matter of time. All of these we are all going to pay for it. So ordinarily, what I would have expected is we are facing various challenges now. We are going to have the Minister of Education should be saying, oh, whatever problem we have with ASU, we must put it to bed. If it's 200 billion they need every year for the next 6 years, fine, let's find a way around it. Why am I saying this? Because for every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. But the difference is that the reaction will come, it will not come immediately. We will pay for it maybe 10 years down the road. That is what we are paying for right now. Even look at the vision of our leaders. You also now have to look at the vision. Somebody made reference to, okay, what are our leaders thinking? Where's the vision? The first house I built was because of what I saw on an oil well. And I said, okay, this is where I'm going to model it. But you ask yourself, what is the vision of our leaders? You want to build an airport, and you're asking yourself, okay, what do I need to make this airport work? I'm talking to you now. I've been running generators since yesterday. I'm calling you from my house. I've been running generators since yesterday. It's costing me so much money to do that. But as I'm talking to you, I know that I'm using Wi-Fi, which I paid for, not channels, to talk to you. But I also know that so that I don't go off air, the generator can pack up, then I also have to connect my Wi-Fi to my UPS. That is having people who would think. But that is what we are lacking right now. We don't have people who are able to think that, okay, this can go wrong. Another part of my training was HSC. HSC, everything you do, you ask yourself, where is my emergency exit? When everything fails, where is my emergency exit? That is what, even when I was in the union, when we want to go on strike, I will ask them, where is the emergency exit if all these things fail? Now, we have no emergency exit. National Grid failed. We have no emergency exit. We have dirty fuel. We have no emergency exit. We have 107 million barrels that cannot be accounted for. We have no emergency exit. Group of people are stealing over 100,000 barrels of crude daily. So when you look at all of this, it just tells you that the infrastructure gap depends upon the vision and the thinking of those who are leading. And once you don't have that foundation, forget it. It's only a matter of time the house will collapse. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mukhtar, from what he said, I was just remembering when in the 70s, most of our roads were built and supervised by Nigerian engineers.
Yes.
But sadly now we find ourselves where all our road contracts are given to foreign companies. Now, do you think that in trying to bridge this infrastructure gap that we're talking about, if our local labor was challenged a bit more, would they not improve on the job such that in the near future they can handle all our engineering jobs instead of giving all the contracts to foreigners all the time?
I think the challenge again is the reward system for an engineer working in Nigeria. Most brain drill, you see...
So it's gone worse?
It's gone worse because at that time you're talking about supervision, you're talking about collecting supervision fee, you're talking about your reward system from the system when you do a role.
They didn't just supervise the jobs.
They make sure the job is done.
Oh, yes.
Now, some government will tell you...
With local labor.
Labor. Some governors will tell you that they've given local contractors most of the abandoned projects that they have all around were the ones they gave to local contractors. Because why? Local contractors with the government, you need to know the governor, or you need to know one politician to take you to the governor. And so a lot of things happen, and the money you embark for that project, is less than what the government is going to give to you. You go to a public sector, and public sector, even private sector, you go to talk to them about a project. And after the project, when you talk to them, the next thing that you hear from them, okay, what is there for us? No, they won't say for me.
For us.
For us, so that they know that you are being you are being carried along.
Yeah.
So that is
that carry along again.
That's what they will use to tell you, oh, we are carrying you along. We don't want to eat alone, so we want you to eat, and that is a problem. Now, look at when you talk about infrastructure. Look at government. There was a time Bill Gates came to this country, and he talked about the soft infrastructure. Remember the economic recovery development plan that was forced by this administration. Now they say they've taken it to the laboratory. We are waiting for it to come out from the laboratory. It has not come back yet. Now, what was that?
No, I think the ERGP evolved into a national development plan.
Thank you. It has evolved into the national development plan. Now they've changed the name. They just changed the name, but it's not still out for us to know what is there. Now, what I'm saying that when Bill Gates came and looked at this document, what did he ask them? He said, where is the place for your own people? And that became a debate. And I remember the governor of Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai, said he can't come here to begin to teach us how to run our economy. We know why is he saying that an economic plan that was prepared by us is of no use? Because Nigeria never looked at its people as its assets. Look at this administration. We are building infrastructures everywhere. Yeah, thank God, they are doing everything infrastructure. But like he said, just take a couple. They have not even gone yet. The rail line, that it doesn't have, it didn't. The excuse they were giving that they did not calculate the amount of diesel that was going to take them from point A to point B, and this is supposed to be a key infrastructure to drive the economy.
Faulty fuel gauge.
Okay, faulty fuel gauge made them not to know, and they had engineers. It's just like, look, it
was a human error.
And if the engineers were Nigerians, what would have happened?
Nothing. Well, we were not. For now, they will tell you that most of the key engineers are Chinese. Most of those that are working with them were Nigerians, because you didn't see any white man trying to. It was the Nigerians they were always showing us.
Okay, Mr. Edokwolo, we're beginning to. What's the word now? We are descending the flight now. I cited the fact that there is such an organization as Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, headed by Mr. Michael Odiani. But then there is a Nigeria Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan. And the plan is supposed to be funded through PPP. With what we have now, with policies, the way government runs and all of that, how hopeful are you that this kind of plan will see the light of day and will be sustained for decades?
I think to answer, we'll look back and say to ourselves, what has been the history of PPPs in the past? Has it worked? If yes, why did it work? Has it failed? If yes, why did it fail? And then what are these new organizations doing differently to ensure that the evil of the past does not repeat itself? So, for example, we have issues of, government not having the political will to follow through. And usually they don't have that political will because there's lack of trust. Do you realize that if Nigerians got a government that they could trust, we would not mind subsidy being removed? But it's because we know that if they remove the subsidy, they will spend more on themselves and will suffer more. So this whole conversation about subsidy is a trust conversation. That's all. There's nothing more to add to it. So you have that on one side. You have government, lacking the will to follow through. You have the instability in government policies. A new commissioner or minister comes on board and it changes everything.
Sorry. Yeah. Permit me to punctuate you. You said government's inability to follow through.
Yes.
Let's decrypt government at that point.
Okay.
It's someone's job to make sure some things are done.
Well, that someone, particularly in this government, doesn't do it and nothing happens. It's only in Nigeria where you can afford to mess up on your job and get rewarded by the boss. It's only in Nigeria. And so the consequence of that is that Therefore, whoever is coming to dine with the government comes with a very long spoon because you can't trust the government. And because he cannot trust the government, he too is looking for ways and means to circumvent the system. So you have issues of over-invoicing from the private sector. So, it's almost like, you will say, Connie man meet Connie man. That's where we are. So, one can only hope that going forward, these are the real issues. The private people want to, because they're not sure that this first, is like, okay, maybe the contract is that, you get 10%, then so percent, then, but because the guy knows that after the first 10%, he may not get any other money. So what does he do? He wants to get as much as he can from that first payment, all right? And by so doing, corruption gets introduced into the system. So, so will it work? I think they themselves should be able to ask and answer. And this time around, we're not looking, it's not, it's there, it's history. So the PPPs of the past, did it work? All right? How successful was it? What and what did not allow it to work? Okay? And then are we willing to tackle those problems now? All right? Can we make a policy, at least, so, the new government is coming in 2023, is that not so? So at least we know there's 4 years. So there's a bit of stability over the next 4 years. So if I was a private person, I'm not going to enter into any contract that would go beyond 4 years or even 3 years. Because there's no guarantee that the same person will behave the same way by the second term. There's no guarantee that even if he wins, so because of all these uncertainties, when there is no trust, the cost of business goes up.
There's no guarantee that the same person will be on that seat.
Or that he will even behave in the same way. Because first term, he's looking for second term. Second term, he's gotten it, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so until we establish some... And when we talk about trust, they think, oh, come on, get out of the way you're talking about. But here we are.
I think the problem with this current one that he is not touching that, you need to look at it that it was supposed to be the fiscal policies. What you are seeing now is the monetary policy, the CBN, that is coming up with this infrastructure thing. So CBN, as a thing, have diverted from their own initial, what is their own key responsibility, which is monetary. Because they realize that there's a gap. No matter what you do in the monetary side, once the physical side is not doing their own, then the people will not feel it. So they are beginning to go to where it does not involve them. So this current infrastructural gap, infrastructural master plan is not being drawn by the physical side. It's drawn by the CBN, trying to say, look, we are going to come with an infrastructural bank that we're going to begin to form infrastructure. So those are not what the CBN should be doing. That's what the government should be doing.
Well, I think we have a consensus on
CBN
something.
Is
but
part of government.
Mr. Sele,
monetary.
Mr. Sele, Mr. Sele,
Yes, I'm here.
clearly it can be a little tasking to stay on one topic because it seems that they're all networked, sort of. So if you would be offering last words for what do we do now in bridging the infrastructure gaps? We know we have the infrastructure. We know we have infrastructure gaps. Perhaps the challenge is, what do we do first? What do we do next? You referenced vision the other time. If you would make recommendations to anyone who cares to listen in order for us to make the kind of progress we need to make, how would it go?
Thank you very much. I think first thing I would like to do is, first I've talked about vision. What do you want for your country? Do you want your country to be like what happens in Europe, so you can copy and you paste? And then the other aspect of it is that we have to look at our laws and regulatory framework. Somebody should be able to say good morning. Government should be able to say good morning, and it's actually morning. Once we make our laws, let us respect our laws. Let me just give you a simple example. We've been battling PIB for God knows when. And finally, PIB became PIGB, it now became a law. And then 4 weeks later, you go ahead and you suspend that law. Investors that were coming in would of course withdraw. So the next thing is that first we have vision. Second, we must be able to walk the talk. Third, we must have respect for our laws. Fourth, we must know the areas where government can invest. If I am a government, for example, my attention will be on education, healthcare, and security. Then there are other areas where you don't have the money, you don't have the resources. You allow the private investors to come in. America is what it is today because people don't remember that 150 years ago, a lot of those roads we see in the US were all PPP. So we can now go ahead and do PPP. But the most important thing, which Dr. alluded to, is trust, the issue of trust. Government must make the people to trust it. That yes, when government says good morning, is actually good morning, and you don't need to look at your clock. Then let me also hold forth where I disagree with Mokhtar when he talked about local contractors and what they do. No, governors or government, whoever, don't give jobs to local contractors because it is easier for any corrupt practices will be easier for EFCC or whoever to trace. It's difficult when you give jobs to foreign contractors for that for whatever hidden charges that is underneath it to be traced. So that is why foreign contractors are holding sway, not because our local contractors are not good, but they will not have the opportunity to deliver. Thank you.
Well, I think you have spoken to what one can consider, well, you all have spoken to what you can consider the most critical infrastructure, which is trust. And who is going to build this trust? How do I mean, it's an infrastructure that's been greatly depleted over the years, Mr. Esele. Where do we begin?
Now, where do you begin? Is first of all, we have two political parties, two major political parties, two major institutions. Because to drive a country, you have institutions. And these institutions are right now, there are 100 parties, but the two major ones from 1999 to date is PDP and the APC. First of all, what is their manifesto? What plans do they have for Nigeria? So what you now do before you elect them, you go to their manifesto and then you hold them to it. If somebody says, I'll give you 24 hours power, ask the person, how is he going to do it? Where is the money coming from? I'm going to guarantee you security for everyone. How is the money going to come from? Do you know how much a Tucano aircraft costs? Do you know how much night vision will cost for your military? How many thousands of soldiers are you going to employ to achieve that? How many number of policemen will you achieve? Okay, you are talking about an education. So what you now need to do is that we know we produce 1.9 million barrels of crude a day. That is what OPEC says we should do, but we are not able to meet that quota. You have an idea of how much comes into government every month and every year. So what you do is that whether a PDP presidential aspirant or an APC presidential aspirant, he must speak to those figures. When you make them speak to those figures, then you know we are starting to build that trust. And if they are not accountable, then you fire them by using your vote. That is how society is built. You don't come and say we are complaining after the fact.
Well, you all have also spoken to the need for vision. Well, Mr. Edokolo, let me begin with you on this. 30 seconds each person. You have all spoken to the need for us to have a clear vision, and we've been struggling with this for decades. In charting a national vision, what's the first step?
We already have our national anthem. Go and look at the words of the national anthem. Our pledge. Even if you don't know any other thing and you just come and say, I will abide, I will follow through, I will be true to this, that's a good place to start.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mukhtar, you are a development economist. We have had economic plans and economic activities over the years. The one that I remember serving us well is agriculture. If we're going to set a national vision, going by what Mr. Edokolo says, in what direction would you recommend? When you hear Germany, you know the kind of industry. When you hear Russia, you hear Japan, you hear India, you know the kind of industry. Even Ghana. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so what would be the economic vision or focus that you, as a development economist, would recommend for Nigeria?
No, but you see, when you talk about vision, a vision can only work when three things are stable. What are those three things? You have three things for government: food, housing, and shelter. I mean clothing.
You started with food.
You start with food. That's why don't you ask yourself why the politician came up with stomach infrastructure?
Okay.
Because it's only way.
So you're talking about agriculture.
Agriculture. Okay. Once you have food, housing, and other things, then that's when vision.
It's like you really want to go to the Stone Age.
That's when you will have the vision.
That's when you have the vision.
Clear vision.
You know you can.
On an empty stomach, you can't.
The vision doesn't work on an empty
Mr. Sele,
That's Maslow.
there are those who believe that your industry is the reason we became lazy. So if you would recommend a direction, economic direction or vision for the nation, what would be your take?
Education, education, education. With education, you can put food on your table. With education, you can provide shelter. With education, you can design infrastructure. infrastructure. With education, you can maintain infrastructure. Education is key.
Okay. I think we have a resolution.
As
All
they
in
say.
favor say aye.
Bam.
Aye. The ayes have it. Peter Esele, former president of Trade Union Congress, Norway Dakwala, social commentator, and Mohammed Mukhtar, development economist, investment banker, market and financial analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this discussion this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Sunrise continues after now with one of those things. Was it? I think it has something to do with what Mr. Esele talked about. Education, education, education. We're back after now.
Many people, different tribes, different tongues, we're united in our strength and resolve.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's move to education. The Nigeria Learning Passport. Yeah, like I said before, passport. Okay. It's an online e-learning education platform model for basic and secondary level education tailored to the needs of children who are either out of school or in need of support to ensure the education they're receiving is of sufficient quality. Yeah. So a child is going to determine by himself that the education he's getting is of sufficient quality. Okay, well, that's a question that's running around in my head. But we have guests who are going to be able to answer that question. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Peter Hawkins of UNICEF Nigeria, the UNICEF Nigeria country representative, who is in our studio in Abuja.
To be on Sunrise.
Good morning, Mr. Hawkins. We also have Abubakar Issa, who is a director, ICT, Federal Ministry of Education. Good morning, Mr. Issa.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
Thank you both for joining us. Mr. Hawkins, you are with us again today. Now, this thing is called Nigeria Learning Passport. I'm wondering, why that name?
Well, one, Nigeria, because it's been adapted for Nigeria and against Nigeria's curriculum. Two, it's about learning, and it's how children can learn, whether in the classroom, outside the classroom, at home, in the community, or wherever they are. And three, a passport, it gives them access. And this is the key issue.
Gives them access,
what
okay.
Nigeria Learning Passport does, whether online, offline, or in your mobile, it gives you access to learning. And that's the critical change that Nigeria Learning Passport is bringing about. This year, between now and the end of 2023, we aim to reach 4.5 million, and by 2025, 12 million children to be able to access Nigeria Learning Passport.
Yeah, Mr. Issa, can you tell us when this was introduced first, so that I can lead on from there? When was the Learning Passport introduced?
We've been working on it for the past 6 months, or about a year, building it, getting all the curriculum content we need. We have gotten about 14,000 curriculum-based content. We're just about to launch it next week. It's been online while we're trying it and testing it, but we're just about to launch it on the 24th of this month. All the subjects, all the lessons have been carefully selected based on Nigerian curriculum, and they were developed 100% by Nigerian entrepreneurs, and it's absolutely Nigerian-based content. In the last 2 weeks, it's been undergoing reviews. We have about 35 people that went across videos, each video, to make sure the quality of video, sound, subject matter, gender parity has been taken care of. It's online, currently online, and they're busy uploading the content. It should be up. We should officially launch it on 24th. It's going to be a supporting e-learning site for other sites the ministry already has developed. But the focus now is on this because it's specifically focused on basic education, which is our main challenge that we think we need to focus on and get the Nigerian kids involved in education wherever they are, in or outside the school.
You say it's going to be launched next week? Mr. Issa?
Yeah, it will be launched on the 24th of March.
31st
next
of March.
Week, Thursday.
But you have been, should we say, test running it? Is that correct,
so
sir?
I didn't get. Can you repeat?
I beg your pardon?
I didn't hear you.
I said, did you say that it's been test run already?
Yes, it's been tested on already. It's been live for the past 6-7 months.
Okay.
It's been
now,
live.
So
It has content already, but we are now focusing on the curriculum-based content because we have some OERs, open educational resource materials, that have been uploaded on it, and we are now uploading curriculum-based content so that when we launch it on the 24th,
since it was introduced,
we think as a starting point.
Since it was introduced, what improvements have you noticed in the education sector, in the children's performances?
We're not hearing you. Can she?
Okay, I'm sure that our officers are working on that already. But, you know, the question actually, Mr. Issa, is since the introduction of this e-learning platform, what are the things that you have discovered? I was actually going to ask you, what necessitated it in the first place?
After the COVID pandemic and schools have to shut down, globally 1.2 billion kids were out of school. In Nigeria, we were hit hard more because we didn't have the platforms to support education outside school environment. And we were grateful GPE, in collaboration with UNICEF, supported us in building something that we could start on. And in that period, we got Nigerians that had e-learning platforms graciously made available to the ministry, those platforms which we shared nationwide. And it was amazing that a lot of Nigerians, over 1 million of them, logged onto those sites for their education. And we felt after then we didn't need to wait for another pandemic. We should get our own self ready, have our own sites ready that are basically structures based on government curriculum. And it's free. That's one key thing. Our site, the one the ministry have built and the one UNICEF is helping us with the learning passport, is absolutely free. And it covers the entire curriculum. Now, the idea is that it supports education, it supports extra lessons, and if you're out of school environment, it supports you to be able to read. The topics are arranged in such a way, a manner that if you are going to classroom, it will have been arranged in a serial manner, in a logical manner, and that's exactly how we arrange the topics on Learning Passport and even on the other government e-learning sites that we have done. And this has tremendously helped. Last year, WAEC result was very good because we believed we did an extra lesson period for students on radio, on TV, online. And the ministry was quite happy with that. And we also intend to carry it further to be able to make available opportunities for Nigerian child to learn. I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay, well, it's a good start. But Mr. Hawkins, from what you know, I mean, you know, you've come here quite a few times and expressed your concern about the number of out-of-school children. But then we cannot ignore the technological challenge of so many people and access to technology, access to data services, data packages, data bundles, and all of that. What are some, well, these are some of the challenges that come off the top of my head. What are some of the challenges that you have seen? And Mr. Issa said it's been on for some 6-7 months now. So what are some of the challenges that have been observed, and what would be your recommendations in ensuring that we can overcome them?
This is the third in a very important step in ensuring that the content, and we're talking about Nigeria Learning Passport, is about the content here, the curriculum, right through from basic education through secondary education, is now available to everybody. Complementing this is the fact that there are programs like Generation Unlimited Niger, which is looking at school-to-school connectivity and community-community connectivity. And there are a lot of people working on that, including where the young people or children will have access to data. And then there is a much bigger program which is looking at the expanse of the digital platform. So the three of those, so having access to the digital platform, having school-to-school connectivity and community-to-community connectivity, and now the content, the Nigeria Learning Passport, it does mean the three complementary activities will come together to ensure that all children, wherever they might be, will have access to content for learning. Now, not every community is going to be able to overcome this. I've just been in Sokoto, Katsina, and Zamfara, driving around those three states. As you know, the conflict there has impeded a lot of people's education. So it's cases like that where children are unable to go to school, have connectivity, have access to online or offline or mobile data. They can continue to learn by accessing Nigeria Learning Passport at any time from anywhere.
Mr. Hawkins, you have been on this program before and you've spoken at length about out-of-school children in Nigeria. Now, with the introduction of this online learning, has there been any reduction, even if marginally, in the number of out-of-school children?
It's difficult to say at this stage, but that's the ultimate aim, is ensuring that those out-of-school children have access to learning facilities. And there's a lot of activities going on at community and at informal education level, wherever you might be, whether you be in Borno, whether you be in Lagos, in some of the areas where schooling is inaccessible, or whether you're in Oyo or Kwara. There are a lot of activities to ensure that out-of-school children have access to some sort of informal education, if not formal education. As I said, I've just been in Katsina, where with the Commissioner of Education and SUBEB, there are a lot of activities to try and ensure in all the schools that those out-of-school children have access to some sort of form of learning, whether it's in school or through some sort of informal learning activity. Nigeria Learning Passport is a crucial tool in ensuring that that is possible.
Is UNICEF helping these children in any way regarding access to technology and stuff like that?
Absolutely, and this is at the forefront of what we're trying to do with young people and at school level, is developing the programs and developing the concept with the private sector, with the government, and with the international community to ensure that young people, and especially those out of school and in school, have access to technology. But more importantly, I think there is the ideal that young people are adept at using technology. They're much better than certainly I am, and therefore can meander their way through things like Nigeria Learning Passport to pick out the bits and pieces that they require for their own learning, for their own education, whether they're at basic level or whether they're junior secondary or secondary level, whether they want to go in the direction of arts, whether they want to go in the direction of science, or in skills and life skills development. These are what empower young people to do, so that they can make those choices, as well as, if they are going to formal education, developing their skills and knowledge at formal education. If they're going to an Al-Majri school, for example, they get their education there. There are different ways and different attempts to try and ensure ultimately what the Minister of Education, UNICEF, and all the others are trying to do is give access to learning for young people from a very early age, 24 hours a day so that they can make those choices and they can be skilled to be able to be part of the workforce when they get older.
Well, Mr. Issa, let me ask you the question about the challenges and how we get ahead of them. Availability, the provision is one thing. Having access to the technology, as Lera has asked, that's something of concern, no doubt. Let me believe, well, I do believe that some of these issues must have come in conversations. What is the plan?
Yeah, well, if I hear you very well, you are talking about access to education or access to these platforms. The ministry we have done the first step by making this platform available, and thanks to UNICEF and GPE for supporting us to build this platform. But we also know there are two main challenges, access and devices. Devices in terms of handsets, tablets, laptops that will make these platforms available and access to all our children across the country, even in remote, hard-to-reach environment. And then, of course, as bandwidth cost. And what the ministry is thinking of, the ministry is partnering with many of the agencies we have in government. I mean, the ministry is in good collaboration with the broadband policy of Comtech to see how do we ensure that we had bandwidth in all our schools. That is an ongoing conversation. And we're also discussing with the telcos to develop two options, either a zero data plan such that for these sites, they don't charge for kids to have access to this site, or an education data plan. We are more for education data plan because that way it enables the competition among the telecoms and people have value for whatever they are paying for. For instance, we could come up with a plan that says 2 gig at the cost of 100 naira, but that's you only have access to education platforms. That way students, parents will have the peace of mind that their kids are only visiting education sites once they get them those data plans. But then the main key thing is devices, and that's the tricky one. But conversations are on with manufacturers, with the Ministry of Comtech again, with the NCC, and how do we make affordable devices available? What we have done with the Learning Passport is to make it offline, meaning that you don't need to have access to internet to have it. Once you build a small hub within your school, you can have access to the entire content. And that's applicable to all the other content we have within our e-learning suite, if I could use that word. And that's what we are going about. I know it's going to take a little while for us to have affordable access and affordable devices, but I can assure you that it's something that government is taking very serious and is working towards it, to partner with private sector to come into the country and manufacture or assemble very cheap, affordable devices that can, I'm sure in the third quarter of this year, we should come up with the policy. Government is currently coming up with actually device policy. We're coming up with a policy that defines what does a primary school need in terms of devices, what does a secondary school need in terms of, what are the minimal devices that should be used in those environments, and what are the quality checks and cyber security check that should be built around these devices to protect the young ones from having access to internet and being bullied, etc., etc. We are much thinking around it, and I'm sure before the third quarter of this year, we'll come up with a policy direction as to this. But the most important thing we have done now is, like I said earlier on, thanks to UNICEF, and GPE, and Microsoft, and all our partners, is at least now we have a platform that is well curated and is free and is available online. We now need to worry about how do we ensure that as many kids as possible have access to these devices, and then, of course, the learning outcome. I'm sure that's where Mr. UNICEF and Co will help us to determine what is the actual learning outcome. Are the kids learning something from these sites? Is it helpful to them? Can we replace this with the Almajiri system? Can it be added? Can I be a header in the bush and having these devices that actually learn something? I think that part we need to talk about.
I was going to ask you along the same line, since you're from the Federal Ministry of Education, is it something that schools will recognize to write WAEC and JAMB, and does the education industry in Nigeria, is it something that the education industry in Nigeria will recognize as a valid form of education that is certifiable?
Sure. The whole world is going towards that direction, and we can't be different. Online education has come to stay. Online, offline, mix. There are some universities, there are some schools overseas that are shutting down their schools because they don't have the students anymore. You can sit at home and study. So why do I need to move to a town? For instance, if I'm reading humanities and I'm in UI or University of a degree, I can sit at home and have all my lectures. But of course, the rules governing that is not NUC's cup of tea, and I'm sure they are working on that. I think we have about 10 universities currently in Nigeria that have those licenses. Like Open University, for instance, you don't have to come to any, you only come for some lectures towards the exam, but you do almost 100% curriculum online. So I'm sure it's something that we are working towards, and I'm sure if the Open University certificate is recognized, I'm sure we're already on that path. And I'm sure all we need to do is to tighten up the checks and balances to ensure that online or offline, in classroom or outside classroom education is almost the same. And like I said earlier on, learning outcomes. If I sit in my house and I go through a curriculum, what do I learn? Is it comparable to if I'm in school and I think and learn the same thing? I guess that's where our psychologists and a lot of people need to do a lot of work to be able to come up with findings as to how this relates. Going to a university campus is a different ballgame together. It's not only the education you have, but the social interaction with people, how to relate to other people, etc., leadership quality, etc., etc. But I think it's a new field that I'm sure very soon there will be a lot of studies on. Thank you.
Mr. Issa, is the platform simple enough for a child, a student, to sit at home and be able to actually learn from it so that they can pass exams, you know, without a teacher guiding them?
Yeah, it's very, very interactive, very user-friendly. You don't need to have, just like if any kid can operate a phone, he can operate the learning passport. It's very straightforward. Subjects are arranged, subject by subject, topic by topic, just the way the NERDC curriculum is arranged. I mean, if you take NERDC curriculum and pick, for instance, mathematics for primary one, there is a sequencing of these topics, the way they are arranged, so that you are learning from this easy one to hard one, so that it makes the kind of sense to you. And that's exactly how we build the learning passport. And so we think it's very easy, but of course, we'll be monitoring to find out the challenges. We have a support desk where we expect people to give us a feedback as to how easy it is. We have, as technology people, we have built it, but we don't know what challenges out there people will have. But I guess it's a work in progress, and I'm sure we built it 100% from scratch, in-house in the country. So tweaking it, but whatever observation we have shouldn't be a problem.
Is
but
it the same?
It's easy enough for anybody, for any child to go through.
Is it the same version that a child will use if they decide to go through it themselves? Is it the same as the one that a teacher would use in a school, for instance? And if it is not, are there any special interactions with the teachers on how they can take the children through the process easily?
The learning passport, yes. We have 3 e-learning sites, but we are focused on the learning passport today because that's what we are about to launch. Okay. But sometimes in November, we launch 2 other sites, one called Inspire, which covers from primary school to tertiary institution. Then we have Ignite, which is specifically teacher-focused, but they're all interwoven together. So as a teacher, you have access to the entire lesson note. You plan how you plan your lesson on a particular topic, and you can go through it. So even if you are, for instance, a copper, and you're asked to go and teach in the school that you don't have a teaching experience, or you don't have any teaching qualification or whatever, you can go online on the ministry's Ignite sites and you can pick a topic. The entire thing is arranged in such a way, Amanda, it guides you. What is the objective of that topic? How are you supposed to teach that topic? What is expected? What is the learning outcome of that topic? And at the end of it, what do we expect the kids to have learned you teaching that topic? So it's kind of interwoven, and I'm sure it's going to be it's going to be a game changer for the entire country in terms of usability and in terms of our teachers using it. So I believe you can use it as an additional material that will aid you or make you understand how a particular topic is. If, for instance, you have a difficulty in a topic, you can go on the Learning Passport or the Inspire and get that particular topic and go through it over and over. The beauty of technology is that it's there. You can watch a video 100 times until you get to understand what it means. And even for a teacher that does not understand the topic very well, can still go online, get the lesson plan and lesson note, and get to understand how it is so that it can impact on the student in a better way and manner. So I think we think it's something that will change the entire educational space.
Okay. Mr. Hawkins, it will seem like there are at least three levels of new learning for the people who will be using or interacting with this learning passport. On the one hand, is adapting to the use of technology. Mobile devices, laptops, tablets, phablets, and all of that. On the other hand, the second one is navigating the websites. If it was a book, I could just pick one. Okay, this is not the one, I'll drop it, I'll pick another one. But navigating the websites, or even, I don't know if there is an app for it yet. If there is, navigating the app as well, that's a second leg of learning. The third would be the actual learning. With the level of literacy in the country, from what you know, how good are we and how hopeful are you of how fast this learning passport will integrate the nation?
I think it'll be critical in helping unite the nation, if I may say so, especially for girls and young women. It's a way that they can look at literacy in a more assimilated way. The platform has been developed by UNICEF and Microsoft globally, and Nigeria, being an important country, is one of the few that are adapting it now. The program is in the four languages: English, Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. It's there, and it's very, very accessible. And I think going through your three, and the third especially, it will be the critical factor that might change a child's life, not only in terms of life skills, literacy, and numeracy as well. Wherever they are, there is now no excuse not to be able to access it. I think that the issue of devices is the correct issue, and we're going to be working hard over the next 2 to 3 years to ensure that issues, especially at school, but also in communities and in informal educational sites, there is some sort of device where children can access whether it's the learning passport or other learning materials that children require to be able to do it. Now, in terms of technology, I don't know about you, but young people tell me how to navigate technology. They're adept. It's instinctive in the way that they work and the way that they do things. And I'm sure in many cases it will be the children helping the teacher to navigate as much as the other way around. But let's not forget, this does not replace face-to-face teaching and learning. This complements and builds on face-to-face learning, or at times it's in complementing face-to-face learning, it's because face-to-face learning is not there, it's an alternative way. But face-to-face learning is still an important part of a child's learning, developing life skills, interacting with other students, interacting with teachers and other people. So that is still an integral part of this. But this builds on that, complements it, and allows other children who might not have face-to-face learning to be able to interrogate learning. For those who do have face-to-face learning, it means that they can have it as continuous learning. If they aren't able to go to school, or even in the evenings or what have you, they can interrogate the Nigeria learning passport even more.
Well, it's a good thing at least you've identified the fact that the children are going to be teaching their teachers and possibly even their parents.
Well, definitely their parents. Definitely their parents.
Yeah, but you know where I am now is the support that needs to come from where to where. Talking about the people who are going to be using it, the students and the teachers now. What kind of support system should be coming from for them, and from where? In terms of support for the technology itself, how do you see it playing out? So support on the two levels now. Support at the level of the use and support from outside for the technology and the system that runs it.
Well, the support from outside is very clear. Microsoft powers this and will continue to do it.
Okay.
Support on the technology inside, people like organizations like IHS, Airtel, MTN and others are fully behind this and are creating the environment that allows young people to access it. But support in terms of community level, 30,500 teachers have already been trained that through support from GPE. That will continue and increase, and the more that is increased, the more that people will be able to help each other to access it. As I said, I was in Katsina, and one of the teachers there said to me, Peter, you know, Nigeria Learning Passport is coming. How exciting. This is right in the middle of nowhere. So people are beginning to understand it, are beginning to get excited by it. Young people will interrogate it and find a way. There's no question about it. But they will also be able to get the support from currently 30,500 people around the country, but that will increase threefold, fourfold, and forever and ever as Nigeria Learning Passport becomes an integral part of learning in Nigeria wherever you are.
But you know, it can be very addictive using technology. I mean, you talked about children. So there's going to be a tough time divorcing the children, so to speak, from their devices. Yes. So what's any thinking along that plan, the kind of understanding the parents should have and the kind of intervention that the parents would need to help the children balance life and online learning?
It is addictive, but books are addictive. And you know, children, I remember as a child myself and my own children reading books all the time, and they're addictive. But books are not available for many children as you go around the country. So we need to increase the number of books, but we also need to increase, as you quite rightly say, the understanding and the acceptability that people should go online or offline or on their smartphone. There is an app. It is a very good app, and use that app. That app is instinctive, and it allows you to meander through to the places you want to be. So yes, we need to have an understanding in the same way as when children would sit in a corner and read a book, that if they're sitting on the phone and accessing Nigeria Learning Passport, and that is the key, Nigeria Learning Passport, NLP, that app is integral and it allows you to meander through a very safe and instinctive and very well thought through app in the 3 or 4 languages, if you include English, in Hausa, in Yoruba, and Igbo, so that people can access that learning wherever they are.
Okay, Mr. Issa, you spoke earlier about having conversations with people regarding getting these children affordable devices. How long before we expect some positive response from those who are working on these devices?
I'm hopeful that before this end of the second quarter, we'll have finished our policy direction on affordable devices. Now, the other thing is a lot of economics, commerce, government policies that will add that. But we're all resolved that for us, for this to work very well, we need that support. And I'm sure, hopefully before the end of this year, I'm sure, and our development partners are with us in this, that they need to support us. So I'm sure before the end of this year, we should have a lot of affordable devices in the market. And but the policy around it should be up and running by end of second quarter of this year.
Okay, well, Mr. Issa, don't forget that primary education is supposed to be free. Just a thought.
And I think, sorry to come in, but this is free, and that is important. Yeah. And then access to devices is a challenge, and UNICEF is at the heart of shaping the market globally at trying to ensure that countries like Nigeria, where there is a massive market for devices, where devices can become accessible to children, young people and children. That will be the crunch. I accept that. Exactly. But wherever you go in Nigeria, and I know this from the digital side, that people have devices. It's about how they share those devices. And I'm sure what you're going to say is, do children have access to that devices? And that is why your earlier comment about parents, especially, allowing children to have access to the device to be able to access Nigeria Learning Passport.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, at least a little cheering that we know that. Mr. Issa, you've talked about the technical partners that have supported the Federal Ministry of Education about this. What kind of drill-down conversations is happening between the Federal Ministry of Education and the states' ministries of education, as well as the local governments?
It's a whole partnership. When this project started, one of the things we did was with the help of UNICEF and GP, was to provide ICT hub for each state. And we also brought the teachers from each state, I think about 4 or 6 of them, and trained them on the production of digital learning materials. So we have a very strong partnership. At every step, we're carrying them along to understand. A lot of the materials we're having are coming from the states, because we believe education is local, mannerism, etc., define education at the basic level. So we're carrying the states along as much as possible to produce their own content. And for instance, the ministry have dedicated a 20 terabyte space with our host Galaxy, and which is available for states to dump their content on it. That means we have taken the responsibility of that stress of them, so that whatever content they have, whatever the size, we will host it for them, and it's available for them and available for every Nigerian child. You can imagine if 36 states, all the states we have, including FCT, produce content on, say, biology. That means we have about how many different versions of those subjects. And all this can be in one place, and then the student will have the right to choose. So this conversation is going on, and we are doing as much as possible with UBEC, with the suburbs, and everybody carrying everybody along. And like Mr. Peter said, a lot of the states, Lagos, Edo, Kano, Sokoto, Katsina, everybody is in this together. It's not like it's a Ministry of Education thing. It's a national thing, and everybody has been part of it. The teacher training we're doing is across the entire country, and every state is part of it. And the whole idea is that we need to have teachers that are 21st century teachers that know how to use devices to teach. So it's a whole big game. We know it's a big game changer for the entire country, and we are happy to lead it. And we are very glad that every state are cooperating with us and are coming along with us in this journey. And we hope everybody will be better off at the end of it. There are challenges, but I'm sure we'll talk more. There are more of the positive part of it than the little challenges we have.
Happy to hear that, Mr. Issa, but history tells us so many things. Sustainability of enormously fantastic projects such as this that's been a challenge. So that's why that question, is coming, now, because if it is all happening from the federal level, then we know that it's stillbirth, if you will forgive me for saying. But the partnership with the states and the partnership with the local government levels of the various tiers, how are we going to ensure, and I know it's a little difficult for you because, you may not be able to say everything that needs to be said, but what are the challenges that have been envisaged, working with the state governments, working with the local governments? We are such a huge nation, 774 local governments that are in the Constitution. And you also know that there are many local council development areas spread all over the nation. So that's the reason that this concern is being raised with you, to ensure not just a fantastic takeoff, but an upward trajectory in the development of this for use forever.
Globally, most countries have learning passport for that country alone. For instance, if you look at Jordan, they have Jordan learning passport, or Zimbabwe, or South Africa. But in Nigerian case, what we did was to have state instances. So if you go to the Nigerian learning passport, we have about 12 to 16 states that also have their own instances. What it means is that they have their own version of the Nigerian learning passport with their own local content. And the whole idea is that so that we don't see it as a federal government project, we see it as an educational project for the entire country. And this is the first time, even Microsoft, we have to work with Microsoft back and forth to tweak the entire learning passport algorithm to accommodate state instances. And we're encouraging some states to even do their content in Hausa, for instance, because we're more concerned about basic level. And what we think is that it's going to be a takeaway for everybody. Everybody is part of it. And if some states are not interested, I'm sure there are a lot of more states that will be interested. So that way, we get to keep this going. The nitty-gritty of it, the disagreements and co, we thought as federal government we should have at least a platform who will pay part of the bills. We discuss more directly with our development partners. We will sustain it at that level. Okay. But how do we get the states to be part of it? And that was the reason for them to have part of ownership. We created those instances for those states. And you won't believe what we found out in the field. You go to some states, and they have done a lot of amazing work. Benue State, for instance, have done a lot of amazing work in terms of content they have produced themselves by themselves. Katsina have a lot of content. Kano, every state you go. And it's quite amazing, and we give them a platform to provide this content for not only for their local environment, for the entire country. And it's been quite exciting. Anytime we call for a meeting or for conversation, they're ever willing, and they're quite excited about it. So I'm sure it's something that I hope will not die very soon. And I'm sure it's something that we'll get to keep tweaking it. And it's the next generation we have now are more technology savvy than us. And it might be difficult for them to read a book, but once you give them a tool and a device, they're easy, they're at home with it. So I'm sure it's something that we're going to find a way of sustaining this over and over for a very long period. Especially, and probably most likely improve on it. Everybody is going that way, and we can't afford not to.
Yeah, especially when it has videos and all of that. Other than that, put only text. Exactly. You're going to have to come back for it yourself. Talk to us about this. Talk to us about the official launch that you mentioned, that you say is going to be launched in the week ahead.
Yes, on 24th.
Okay.
Specifically on 24th, on Thursday.
Okay. What exactly is being launched? Are people going to have a passport in their hands?
Your passport is just to create an account on the Learning Passport.
Okay.
And that gives you an access to, at the moment, over 15,000 educational materials, clipsy videos, audio sound, nice audio sounds, a lot of text to read. And it can be your access, a lot of life skill lectures, etc., etc. And it can be your passport to a better life in the very near future.
Okay. Is there, okay, obviously you said it's online. So what website is it? Maybe there are some people that can want to visit right away.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
The website that people can check out right now. My producer, my colleagues are already picking up a pen and paper.
NP, Nigerian Learning Passport, but NLP. .education.gov.ng.
NLP?
Okay. .education.
Nigerian Learning Passport, but with it NLP.
NLP, yes.
.education.
Okay.
.gov.ng.
Okay.
.gov.ng.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. So,
NLP.education.gov.ng. Gotcha.
okay. Is there going to be an app?
Yes, we already have an app on the Google Store.
Oh, already? Amazing.
And on the iOS also.
And what do we have?
The app is up and running, been up and running for the past, I think, 3 to 6 months.
Interesting. What's the name of the app? Oh, okay. That's
the same Nigerian Learning Passport.
interesting.
Nigeria Learning Passport. Okay.
Okay, so I guess that's this is really encouraging. So, well, Mr. Hawkins, last words. What are the things that you would want anyone to look out for now? Okay, that's a trajectory, that's a traction already generated on the project that you can see on your screen right now, and tells you everything that needs to be seen about that one. But so, Mr. Hawkins, what else do people need to know in order to embrace this initiative?
I think the first thing is as your previous speaker said, education, education, education. But perhaps I could refine that by saying learning, learning, learning. That all children now with the Nigeria Learning Passport have access to learning. There's no one left behind. The second thing is that it does not replace the classroom. It does not replace the face-to-face activity with your colleagues, with your fellow pupils, and that play and interaction that is so crucial. But it complements and it allows for those children who are unable for one reason or another to go to school to have access to some sort of learning. And the third is, learning is a crucial part of what Nigeria is all about. And this platform allows all children to learn in a way that ensures that they can become numerate, they can become literate, they can have the life skills that is so important to be able to get jobs or to survive. As you said, most of the jobs are in the informal economy. What they require is connectivity. And this is what Nigeria Learning Passport allows children to do, to connect to learning, to be able to use in their later life. So I think it's a crucial part of everything that we're trying to do is to ensure that no child is left behind, that data and technology is the way forward, and for young people, it's where they really do start to dominate and can take things over. Let's celebrate this immensely, but let's evaluate it in 2 years, 3 years' time to see not only whether the 4.5 million we're targeting are able to access it and achieve from it, but what is the outcome from that? Has it increased their learning outcomes? Has it ensured that those out-of-school children or children who don't have access to formal education have a way of accessing some sort of learning that will benefit them in their later life?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hawking. Well, Mr. Issa, I can tell you this. I'm just checking two platforms. The Nigeria Learning Passport, I can see it on Android in the Google Play Store. Android is there, but
Not on iOS.
I can't see it on iOS yet. Maybe you want to help us some other time.
I'll get a young child to come and help you.
No, no. Well, if I can find it on Android, I most certainly should be able to find it on the iOS. But thank you very much, gentlemen. We just wanted to give you that feedback very quickly.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Peter Hawkins, UNICEF Nigeria Country Representative, and Mr. Abubakar Issa, Director, ICT, Federal Ministry of Education. Good luck at your launch on Thursday, and good luck with this massive project, which the Ministry of Education, in conjunction with UNICEF, Microsoft, and so on, has decided to embark on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sunrise will be right back with the
home stretch. The cocoa. Okay. You're going to explain yourself when you go. That's our guest.
Explain myself.
Oh, yeah, start explaining yourself. And I can see that you are in traffic, so find your way to this place so that you can explain yourself.
Please, first of all, let me thank the Lord for grace. Because what's happening to me right now is the title of my short called An Oxymoron. Okay, I was actually on my way to the studio, and for no reason I don't understand, my car developed fault. Oh, God. And that's why I said I need a new car. Father, Lord, you channel a new car to me because I'm on channel. As this sun rise, let a new car come to me. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
That is one. So I came down from the car and decided to take a bike so I can get into an Uber so I don't miss this amazing show. Even as I'm trying to enter bike and enter Uber, people still want to take picture with me. So it's a bittersweet experience. I'm jumping from, even on top of the kind of guy that people were like, are you not getting black? I said, I'm the one. So I will go take picture. I think carry with this somewhere first. But I'm happy that I'm still able to join us live on this platform. Thank God for technology. Praise Master Jesus.
Well, I have not introduced you.
Okay, please do.
So you have just get crashed on the program this morning. I have not introduced you, so let me do that. The name of our guest is Osinbajo Otolorin Kehinde Peter, popularly known as Kenny. Have you changed your name again?
I'm adding names. You know Buhari too. You say this is Otolorin Kehinde Osinbajo Buhari. Okay. Like my president will say, I should be like, yeah, very good. Well.
Ask the question. Go ahead. Ask the question. Shogbadu Abi.
Yes. Are you okay?
Timoba, if I gbadu, I will not blow. When I was gbadu, nobody knew me. Now that I'm not gbadu, I'm on sunrise. So you see, it works like that.
Okay. So what you are saying is that you have to be weary to be on sunrise.
Especially in this, not like on sunrise, especially in this Lagos. You have to be out. You cannot be. No, if not, my sister, you will not be on sunrise. You will be on sundown.
Oh God.
Well, your space is music comedy, Kenny Blaq, and
yes.
I'm just one of those few who find a way to enjoy that genre because I mean it dates back very many years, and I don't see much of that in foreign countries. Maybe in other countries, maybe there are, and I've not just been able to pick, but maybe because I can't connect with them. But talk to us about music comedy. We'll come to other issues. But talk to us about music comedy and why that for you. How easy or not has it been for you since 2008 when you got into it full time?
Yeah. For a lot of people actually think I started music comedy, but music comedy has been before I was even born. I remember Ali Baba in the 90s did music comedy. I've been looking forward to getting the video clip I saw one time, and before me there was CD John, who also did music comedy. Before me, Julius Agu had a band. he did music comedy back in the day. There was this person also, his name is MC Basketball, but he's now MC Miracle. He did the Itorobum, Ego the bum 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 bum. So music comedy I've been before I even thought of doing music comedy. And for me, music comedy was never part of the agenda for me. All I wanted to be was a musician. I'm from a family of music. I have family who loves to sing. So I think when I was 12 years old, I joined a band. I developed too much love in doing live music. But I found myself remixing songs, turning original songs to very, very funny songs. If they sing a normal song and I'm in love with that song, I find myself singing that song in a way that I'm comfortable with. So that was how music comedy started for me. And later, I decided to start writing stories about the song. Before you knew it, I started comedy in 2008. I did pure stand-up. And I was just a normal comedian. But I was looking for a way to always stand out when I perform. So I did music comedy for the first time in 2008. Sir, ma, you will not believe that for the second time on stage, I got a standing ovation because people felt like, oh, this is unique. This is something different. Some felt like, what are you doing? If you want to sing, sing. If you want to do comedy, do comedy. Which one you're adding the two together? Choose the one you want to. So it was I don't stay in Ibadan, but it was a challenge for me to, put the two together. And when along the way, people started falling in love with it and said, okay, I think this is going to really work. It took a lot of time to actually buy people into what music comedy is all about, because at the time when I started, I felt like the only one who was doing it. But now we have so many people doing it. There's Josh Too Funny, there's Kevin Sapp abroad. Jamie Foxx was doing music comedy before I was born.
Now, Kenny, you said you always wanted to be a musician. Why didn't you just stick to music?
He was not paying me. Like music was, music. I was just doing music, but because of the kind of voice that I have, I can mimic almost different genre of music. So I didn't know what style of music I wanted to do. I can decide to sing R&B today, and tomorrow I'm singing country. Next tomorrow I'm singing jazz. So I was in the process of finding the kind of music I want to do. I realized that I can actually do all of them in comedy. And that was how it started for me. And right now, with what is happening in the music industry and the money that they are making, I will drop album. Not gonna know. I will drop this album.
Okay, well, before you drop the album, just some funny thing that came to my head now. So you've remixed and done your own covers of popular songs by popular artists. How have they received some of those ones? I remember that one with Stockwell Alabe is about the most memorable for so many people right now. So how did she receive it? How have other musicians whose songs you used turned your own way? How did they receive it?
Okay. When I started, I didn't even think I was going to have an issue with anybody, because I didn't know what copyright and everything was all about. Because I was still very, very young in the industry. That was in 2008, 2009. So I will always pick people's songs and do them. And I found out that when I do their songs, they actually come to my DM and be like, amazing, please send it to me so I can post. So I started getting love from them, be like, oh man, nice one. So after a while, people started sending me their songs to spoil it, like they will say. Can you spoil my song? Please spoil my song in your own unique way. I remember I will always do any song Olamide drops and it's trending, I will always do a cover. And Olamide will just send me a DM with in here. Yeah, man, just do another one. And I remember Mayor will always send me, Kenny, I don't know what's wrong with you. Are we fighting? You've not spoiled my song. I said, the spoiler is coming. What it? Then after some time, I started getting, DMs from people like, why will you did a cover of my song? You need to take it down. And I realized that it was because my own cover was more interesting than theirs. So I understand. I'm very talented. So I understand that some of them felt threatened. Then I started having, contract with them. Okay, I'm going to do a cover of your song. What does it take? I started getting rights to do covers of songs. But till today, till today, as I speak to you, there are so many celebrities in my DM like, Kenny, when are you going to spoil my song? And there are so many songs I'm going to spoil soon. So I don't see it as spoiling. But these celebrities see it as, okay, if Kenny Blaq is jumping on my song, it means my song is popular enough.
Wow.
You understand? And it's another way of me promoting.
But it would also seem like you've become a DJ of sorts because you string different artists' songs together in one performance. Has there been any issue? First of all, how did that even start? Building stories around. I mean, that one that really caught fire the very, very first time was, it is a masterpiece, no doubt about it. How did that idea even come upon you in the first place? Wait. Did somebody jilt you that made you say that?
No, I'm a storyteller. I like to write stories. I like to create. Let me just say, I know how to lie very well. Like, I know how to lie. I'm not mommy, but my lie is always dope. So I really love to create stories, bring stories together. I think I'm one of the masters of fiction. I like to create stories when there are no stories. So in creating those stories, because it's not always easy to bring songs together and bring stories together, and at the same time, bring stories together and make sure that the story rhymes into the song, and make sure that there's a punchline, and make sure that everything is coming together. So when I started, I would first of all get the songs, or sometimes get the story and look for how it will fit in. It might take me weeks to get one joke ready. It might take me months to get one joke ready. So when Big Shaq dropped the song, the thing goes kurura pa 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 pa. As stupid as people thought the song was, I was looking for a way to make it more stupid. So I needed a way. I needed to bring it home because the market I was selling then was the Nigerian market. So I needed to bring it home. So I was looking at what. When I'm writing my jokes, I look at what angle do people not see coming. Where do they not see it coming? I don't want them to always catch. I always want to catch them by surprise. I don't want them to know where I'm coming from. Like, you don't even know where I am now, but you know where I'm coming from. So I look at where I'm coming from. I'm like, okay, imagine Topa Alabi singing. So imagine Topa Alabi singing Man's Not On. Topa Alabi will never sing Man's Not On. Okay. But because I know how to lie very well, and I started using fiction. And I was watching a Yoruba film one time, and I was hearing the soundtrack, and I was like, a Man's Not On is trending. Imagine a Nigerian movie titled Man's Not On, and Topa Alabi is the one singing the song at the soundtrack. And I went, and at the same time, I wanted to talk about domestic violence because it was trending at that point. I had people who always come to me and like, Kenny Blaq, you not believe that this girl, her boyfriend hit her, this one. So I wanted to at the same time pass a message with my humor, which is always what I do in my songs. So I felt like, then, but because this guy was also trending speed Darlington with the Ben better than. When I take a step, yeah, Ben. When I take another step, yeah, better than. That's just it.
Well, Kenny Blaq, I'm going to put you on your spot here. You're going to make a commitment to being here another time, physically, without Okada, without your car spoiling, without Uber, physically, like maybe like an hour ahead, and be in the studio in the interest of peace and stability. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
I raise my hand, and I swear that the next time I'm going to be live, I'm going to come a day before. I can sleep in the studio.
Bye. Go back home. Thank you. Thanks for being a part of our show this morning, Kenny Blaq, Otolori Kende Peter. And that's Sunrise Today.
That is Sunrise Today. Fresh package will be coming your way next week, God willing. Have yourself a wonderful weekend and see you next week.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend and...
I forgot my name.
Yes, you did.
Aleredu.
Bye for now.